Hello, my family. I am actually getting ready to prepare. Now, this one's going to take a little time. It kind of is a simple, but it's a time-consuming meal. However, it's a really good meal. This is a meal that even a diabetic can eat. We in the United States know eggplant parmesan. Technically, it is an American way, the way it's prepared here. It's not the authentic way from Italy. In Italy, it is considered eggplant parmesana, or parmesano. But here in America, it's eggplant parmesan. Now they will take our eggplants and they will put it in an egg wash and in a flour wash or a coating with some breadcrumbs and all that. There are two ways you can do this, actually. The way I'm going to do it, we are not going to put a coating on this. This way that a type 2 or type 1 diabetic can literally eat this meal without all the extra breadcrumbs and the flour and all that. The other way they do this is they don't use breadcrumbs at all. They use a flour coating, and it's not even dipped in eggs. So those are the two ways that Italy will do it. Well, today, like I said, we are going to prepare our eggplant parmesana without any breading and coating at all. However, we have to take the liquid out of this. We're going to be taking the liquid out of our eggplant and out of our cheese because we are using a real based mozzarella, not the ones in the cube. And definitely, please don't use the ones in the package because this will not work on this dish. I am going to show you how to do a very simple sauce. There's not a whole lot to it. Even in Italy, they only use a certain amount of ingredients: basil, garlic, salt, and a sauce. So I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So let's get in the kitchen. Let's start cooking some eggplant parmesana. Okay, y'all, so we are going to first start with our eggplant. Now, I did wash these, and now I'm going to cut. Let's start with cutting the end off. Now, these ain't exactly great, but it's what we have. So, and I'm going to do about 1/4 inch slices. We don't want them super thick. Something that really not much more than that. So, I'm just going to continue to keep slicing these down. I may even use my mandolin. We're not looking to make super thick like we would do that with tomatoes for making fried green tomatoes. Now I'm just going to go ahead and continue to cut both of these eggplant. This will be enough for 2 people, probably plenty for leftovers. But if you have a big family, go ahead and at least use 3 or 4 because it'll probably take that. All right, y'all, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this. Once I get this finished, we will be right back. Okay, my family, so we've got now our eggplant already cut up. Now we got to take and get the liquid out of it. So what we're going to do is line a bottom of this. I've got a stock pot, and I have a strainer. I'm just going to take my eggplant. I'm going to start going all the way around it at the bottom, down here. And for every layer that I make, I'm going to sprinkle with some of this kosher salt. And then I'm going to leave this sit for about an hour so that all the liquid comes up out of this. This is where it gets a little bit time consuming, but it's worth it because you want your parmesana to be dry. You don't, and not too dry, but you don't want it full of water either. I have seen eggplant parmesan, and I think that's what turned me off from it at one time. I wasn't a fan of it until I tried it this way. Pasta Grammar is where I got this recipe from, and they are from Italy. And when they showed me this idea, I had made this once before, and it was absolutely perfect. So I decided to go ahead and try this one again. But I'm doing the same method, and it worked. It was a lot drier. It was not runny or watery. So I'm going to continue to keep doing it this way. We're going to do this. And now once I get all this done, I'm going to place something on top of this to make a weight. That way, as the liquid starts coming out of this eggplant, it'll press down and it'll go to the bottom of the pan. These were the remnant pieces left over. I'm just going to line this in here. And then go ahead and put probably a good sized bowl that'll fit in here, like this one right here. I'm going to fill it with water and I'm going to set it on top and let this set it aside for an hour. So I'll show you what we're going to do here. Alright, got my water. I'm going to set this on top. Probably could go one more size if I can find one, but for right now this will work. I'm just going to set this aside now, let it sit for an hour, let that salt work with it, and we'll come back to that. I'm going to, in the meantime, go to our sauce because we got to let that simmer while we're waiting to cook our eggplant. So let's get this moved and let's go to our sauce. Okay, my family, so what we did was, this was a can of San Marzano tomatoes, and I used the emulsion blender and I processed this up so that would make a sauce. Now I'm going to take it and add it to my pot. Just like so. I'm also going to add some tomato paste to make it thicker. It's not necessary. You can leave it just like this and just cook it down. But I'm going to go ahead and make mine a little thicker. I don't ordinarily do this all the time. If I did, usually I would just use a little bit, not a whole lot. But I'm technically out of that, and so I don't want this whole can to get wasted either. So I'm just going to mix this in with my sauce, just like so. And I'm going to add some crushed garlic. You can mince this if you want, but I'm not going to actually leave my garlic sit or blended in it. I'm actually going to pull this out when I'm done. So I'm just giving it the flavor. Now I'm going to add some fresh basil to this as well. A couple leaves of basil, just like so. Mix this up really good. Add some of my salt. And that's it. It's all we need to have a good sauce. It doesn't need to be fancy with all these spices and seasonings. Just a plain, simple sauce. Now we're going to let this sit on the stove and let it simmer while we're waiting on our eggplant. So we'll put this on here, allow this to simmer, and we will be back. Okay, so while we're waiting on the sauce and while we're waiting on the eggplant, thought I'd also see if I can maybe share a little bit of this. I tried another product. Basically, I have not done this before. I would normally not pay almost $5 for a can of Italian style tomatoes. That's actually crazy. This is Cento brand. However, in my experience of tasting tomato sauces, I have been learning that some are more acidic than others. And you know what? Here's what I've known. Back in time, we were getting a lot of heartburn. Now, I understand a lot of that was due to the diet, the way we ate. There a lot of too much processed foods will absolutely give you heartburn, but so will too much acid. And so, at least in the case that we had with tomatoes, my husband was having a hard time. What I didn't understand at that point is the amount of citric acid that is placed in each of these cans. Some less than others. Now, the Cento citric acid is way at the bottom of the ingredients, and it says naturally derived citric acid. Well, when I taste these tomatoes, they're actually a little bit sweeter than some of the other ones I have in my in my pantry that actually taste a little bit more sour, I guess you say, more lemony, citricy. There's definitely a big difference. So it made me stop to wonder, was that part of what did all that heartburn that we had so bad, or acid reflux? I am definitely looking into growing my own San Marzano tomatoes this year, big time. Right now everything is sold out, so I'm waiting on it. If this be the case, now I do use citric acid, but not in the crystals when I can. I actually use lemon juice in mine, so it doesn't seem to make it as sour as the citric acid does. So I'm going to do that again, but this time I'm going to try growing my own and see how this works. I will not definitely be buying, I don't see the great hoo-ha about buying a $5 can of tomatoes, but they are less acidy than some of these others that I've had, so maybe there's something to that. The other thing I forgot to tell you, when we added our sauce, I did add the paste. Now again, the paste is not necessary, y'all. You could have just done with the sauce and that's it. I just wanted mine a little bit thicker. Most of the time I do not add a tomato paste, and if I do, I would only add about a tablespoon. I just didn't want to waste all that tomato paste that needed to be used, so I just thought I'd put it in my sauce. Then I used fresh basil, fresh garlic that I just mashed just to give that sauce its flavor, some salt, and then what I forgot to do, and while I was on camera with you, was drizzle some nice olive oil. Not a whole lot, maybe about a tablespoon or two inside of it, and that is it. This honestly is so simple, you wouldn't think it would taste good, but to me it tastes absolutely amazing. Sometimes food simple is best, and in the sauce, simple is best. I was overkilling it with so much seasoning, herbs, and spices, so it doesn't need it. Everything else that I'm going to use, from the eggplant to the cheese to the parmesan, all of this is going to be adding that extra flavor to my sauce. I don't really need to make the sauce stand out so bad that I miss all the other ingredients. So I thought I'd let you know that I did forget to add the olive oil into the sauce. Now back to waiting. Okay, y'all, so while we have this still going, we're simmering our sauce, we're waiting on our eggplant, we're going to go ahead and start draining our mozzarella cheese too. What I end up doing on this is I'm going to cut my cheese in pieces. Now this sits in a milk base, so if it makes sense. Like I said, I'm learning this from Pasta Grammar, an authentic family from Italy, and so if we are going through the effort of taking the liquid out of our eggplant, it would make sense to take that milk base out of our cheese. But this is the best type of cheese you can actually use instead of the blocked. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut these up in pieces just like this, and I'm putting this into a strainer. Once I get these done, I'm going to add this to the refrigerator, and I'm just going to let this sit till all those milk liquids go to the bottom of the bowl, so this won't be in my dish, and it won't let my dish be soggy when I pull it out to serve it for us. I'm just going to go ahead and see, there's liquid. You can't really see this, but there is absolute, you can slightly see it, but that liquid, we don't want that in our eggplant parmesana, so we want to remove this. And then we're just going to go ahead and finish cutting up our cheese into pieces because we're just going to sprinkle this. And then we're going to shred our Parmesan next. So I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting this and we'll be back. Alright, my family. So now back to our eggplant. I can see up here we do have a lot of water up in the top. The pressure from the water pushed these down, so there's definitely some water coming out of here. I'm going to try and get some of that that's still stuck in here. Hang on just a minute, y'all. I know this thing is in your way. And I'll show you how much liquid came out of these. And you know, that's one of the bad things about making eggplant parmesana, is when you get all of this liquid in here, it just makes, just like lasagna too, sometimes it can just be a lot of watery mess. Well, to avoid the watery mess, and especially lasagna, strain your cheese, or if you're using cottage cheese, strain it and take all that milk substitute out. Now let's see if you can, that's all the liquid that came out of there, but that's not the rest of it that's still sitting on top of them. So we're going to set this aside, dump that out. We'll wash that pan, and what we're going to do now is take the liquid off of our eggplant, and we're going to run and dry it off with paper towels. So I'm going to take my paper towels, make me a line across my pan, put each piece across here, because we are, like I said, we're going to dry these out, and I'm going to layer this actually. But as I layer it, we want to take another layer of paper towel on top each layer so that we can dry these off. Just like so. Now, what I'm going to do next with these, with the frying them, I'm not going to add salt to these because these have already basically been salted, and we're not rinsing this off. So now I'm going to put my another layer on top, just like so. Get another round over here. Just like that. Oops, I'm going to turn that thing. It's getting in my way. And then just continue to keep doing this on top of a new layer. So once I get all of these done, I will come back with the next step. But in the meantime, while I'm sitting here doing this, I will let you know what we're doing. This pan right here on the stove, let me turn around and show you this. This pan right here, I'm actually fixing to take one of your inexpensive olive oils. Don't use a good one for this because we're going to fry these up. So I'm just going to use a fairly inexpensive oil, but you don't want to use something really bad either because you're using this to eat with. So I'm using Pompeians. Use what you can afford. I'm just going to make a layer of this, and I can always add more if I need to later. I do not want to bring this to a smoke point, but I do want to heat this up because we are going to fry these up. So while this is heating up, I am going to continue to keep layering my eggplant. Once I get the, oh, I put that right on top of the other one. So once I get this now done, I will go ahead and come back and show you what we'll do and how we're going to do this. Okay, y'all, so I have taken and shown you how we have covered these, dampened them off and dried them. And now we've gotten our olive oil pretty hot to start frying these up. So I'm just going to take a couple at a time. I do not want to overload this. We also have another pan over here. Let's see if I can bring this up here. Oops. Right here. And this one here is lined with paper towel. So once these are fried, they're going to go over here. I'm going to go ahead and continue to add some of okay. I do not want to overcrowd my pot or pan. I do want to flip these over. What we're looking for is them to get golden brown on both sides. So once we get these fried up, I will come back, show you what they look like, and then we're going to continue doing this whole entire pan, and I'll show you how to layer them. Basically, you're going to do the same thing I just did here to dry them. You're going to layer your paper towel, put your layer of fried eggplant on the top of it, layer it again, and just do it like lasagna style. So once these are done, I'll show you what they look like in their golden brown stage, and then we'll come back and we're going to assemble our eggplant parmesan. Okay, my family, so we see that these are golden brown, and we're just going to pull these off and put this on our pan, line it on our paper towel. I'll show you that in just a minute. Where you do not want to get these crispy either, so you just want that golden brown. So make sure you don't crispify them either. Alright, so now put it in my pan like so. I'm going to go ahead and finish frying the rest of these, and when we do, we're going to put this together. Okay, y'all, time to assemble. So I'm going to be using a small baking dish because it's just the two of us. So let me set you up right here. Bring this right like that so y'all can see. Now I'm going to take our sauce and just a little bit of this sauce at the bottom. And I'm just going to put it here so that I can spread it on the bottom of our pan. I will probably have some sauce left over, so I will cool it off at that point and freeze it. Or just put it in the refrigerator and use it for another meal within the next couple days. So, and that's probably what I'll do. Figure out what to use with my sauce and make something new. So I'm making a nice layer, just like so. And then I am going to take, and I'm going to overlap a nice layer of our eggplant. Oops. Just like so. Keep doing this all the way through this dish. You know, I actually thought about using this to make lasagna out of, actually, too, instead of using pasta noodles if I wanted to make it diabetic friendly. Alright, so now I'm just going to, now I'm not going to put sauce heavily on top of this. I'm just going to do a nice, just slight layer of sauce on the top of our eggplant. Put that right there. I'm going to break a couple leaves of basil on top of that. I cannot wait till my homegrown comes in, y'all. Just like so. Break the bigger leaves up. Just like that. And now we're going to do our cheese. Give me 1 minute and we'll come and get our cheese. Alright, here we go. So now this is called eggplant parmesano. Now we do put mozzarella, but at this point I'm only going to put a couple, you know, just a small layer of this, because we want the starred cheese to be our parmesana. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop a few of these. Now some of these are a little bit too big, so I'm going to cut them on down right quick. Just like that. There. So now I have a couple pieces of my mozzarella. And that's all we need on this. Now we need the star cheese. That would be the Parmesan or Parmesano. And then we're going to get a good layer of that on the top. Just like so. Oh, this is going to be so good. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle some more sauce on here, just like so. Not a whole lot of this. So I said I'd have some sauce left over. And again, we're just going to go through here. Move this up here so you can see it. Just take our eggplant, overlapping it, making another layer. And then we'll just keep doing this lasagna style. Just taking our fried eggplant on the top. And just like so. Layering it after that with a little bit of sauce, some basil, our cheese. And then just keep doing this until all of our eggplant is finished. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of this dish. And once I get this done, we'll come back. In the meantime, I've got my oven on 350 degrees so that we can bake this afterwards. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of this, and we will be right back. Okay, my family. So this is the final layer, and there's 3 layers on this. Now this one here, and I made a mistake too. You don't, after you put the Parmesan on top of it, just layer another layer of eggplant on top of it, and start again with your layers like this. Now on this top part, I am actually going to put a little bit more sauce on here than I did the other layers. Simply because this is where the cheese is going, and it's going to turn golden brown. So we don't want any of this to burn. We're just going to, there we go. So I'm going to put a good layer of my sauce on the top of here. Now I'm going to put my cheese on top of this. Same as I've done all the others, but this is our final. And then again with the basil. And I'm pretty much using up what I have left now. Spread my mozzarella. Yeah, I kind of went a little crazy on that, y'all. I kind of spread it around just a little bit so it's more evenly divided amongst the rest of them. So it's not all one gloppy mess and then, yes, center of it when it melts. There. No, I'm not trying to be OCD, but I guess it is in a way. I don't know. So, now we're going to go ahead and put our beautiful basil on top. Break up our pieces. Y'all, this looks so pretty. Almost too pretty to eat, if you ask me. But oh, so good. Alright. So, that took care of one package of basil. Well, no, not exactly. I still have some left, so. Alright. Now, that took care of that. Now, I'm going to top this with the rest of our Parmesan. Just like so. And I have just a small bit of sauce left over, so that one is actually going to go in the fridge, and I will use that in the next day or two to make something else out of it. Now, just layer that on top. Look, y'all. Look how pretty this Parmigiano is. And it is diabetic friendly, as you all seen. Basically, low carb dish, just like a lasagna. Very authentic No breading, none of that extra stuff like that. It was fried up, and then the liquid's removed from it. So from here, we're going to pop this in the oven at 350 degrees. Preheated oven's already done. I'm going to pop this in here until it's nice and bubbly and melty all the way through our dish. And we will be right back. Alright, y'all. While we briefly wait for the eggplant parmesana to come out, I wanted to take a few minutes to say thank you. You all are thanking me for all these recipes and the quality time we spend in the kitchen and all that. What you don't understand is I want to thank you. In the last couple months, I had already told you how I had been veering off, especially since Christmas. There has been way too much temptations in this house, and I'm making some big changes as of right now. You help hold me accountable for what I do. If I am going to teach healthy way of living, if I am going to teach healthy way of eating, then I'm going to be that example. I want to apologize to you for not being that example as I should have been. Because what you don't see behind the camera, you can actually see on the camera. And I have noticed a big change in myself. As of yesterday, we went back to the gym. And that felt good, y'all. It's going to be one step at a time again before we lose all this weight. It's going to be one step at a time before we get our life back in order. But it's a step starting right now. I told you 2024 was going to be different, and I am absolutely meaning that. It starts now with getting rid of all temptations, because I personally cannot have it here no more. And I don't care who it's coming from. It just will not be done here anymore. My husband can't afford it, and neither can I, health-wise. So, things are going to be, they are what they are. We're going to be doing a lot of changes. But I want to thank you, because all of you are thanking me, and you get me thinking. Honestly, you keep me on track. You get me thinking what I am now. What kind of example I am, or am I to you, if I don't stick to what I say, you know, what we're doing. And so that makes me feel ashamed. Now, please, before you start saying, no, Miss Carrie, don't feel that way, please understand, it's a good thing. It's a good thing I feel that way, because I believe in, if you're going to teach it, if you're going to preach it, you're going to live it. And so I would be nothing but a hypocrite otherwise if I'm going to snack on Cheez-Its when I am teaching how to make a nice, healthy meal in my kitchen. That's not how this works, and that's exactly what's been happening. So I'm going to bring out everything that I had been doing, and instead of eating Cheez-It crackers or the occasional cupcake or the Oreo cookies, or these are the temptations that before our other half of our family moved in this house, we had removed all of this. Since then, chips have come in, cookies, all this stuff, y'all, and it's been, oh Lord, it's been rough. So now I'm putting the brakes on. So I had at one time said enough is enough, and I'm actually fixing to do that again. So all of these temptations, my answer is loudly from now on, N-O. Nope. No more. No. Instead, I am going to replace them with fruit, nuts, things like that. Maybe, I actually find that I like to snack on snow peas or sugar snap peas. So I'd rather have this and put myself back on track. But again, I thank you, because you all had me stop and think. Without you, you say that I do a lot for y'all, but you have no idea. Without you, I probably would have never thought the way I'm thinking now. And I probably would have gone way back to the person I was. Or, if not worse, more overweight than I was in the beginning when I started all this. So I don't want to be that person. So thank you for being there. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for, when you don't even know how much you support thank you for all of that, y'all. You have my back as much as I try to have your back. And I look forward to being with you so much more. I look forward to many more times in the kitchen. And if you are not noticing, tonight's meal actually is nothing but vegetation. We're not vegetarian, basically. We're not using any meat. But once a week, there is nothing in the rule books to say we have to have meat every single day. Just because I have no meat in tonight's meal doesn't mean I'm a vegetarian, although there's nothing wrong with that. It just means that tonight our bodies just need lots of vegetables, and that's what we're going to do, from our tomato sauce all the way down to, well, we have our dairy. That's not vegetarian or anything, but it's just the point. We have a meatless night at least once a week, and it's good for us. So tonight, it's inexpensive as well. Now, I don't know about the can of tomatoes that I bought as being inexpensive. To me, those were kind of high. And I promise you, I won't be paying $5 for another can of San Marzanos. I do have another brand by Hunt's. They're a little bit more acidic, but they're like $2.68 a can if I really wanted to, until I'm able to grow my own. Once I do that, there'll be no more I'll can my own. But fairly inexpensive meal tonight. Now the cheese is a little bit higher. Now if I really wanted to go deep into this, the mozzarella cheese that I used in our parmesana, I could have actually made that homemade for $3.62 for a gallon of milk. So there's that option. Now, I felt that this is a little bit more time consuming as a meal. For many who are working and don't have time to do this, this would be a good weekend meal. But so worth it, because you could divide it up, freeze it, and then have a heat and reheat and eat. Oh my gosh, I'll get it right, meal. So this is something that you can prepare ahead of time. For me, well, this is what I do anyway. So, but I'm not going to eat all of this. Me and my husband won't. So I do have a prepared meal. So when he comes in late, and I know he's coming in, all I have to do is set the oven on, take my meal out, and that's it. And then from there, we can go straight to the gym. Tonight, I'm going to serve a side salad with some arugula and our ranch dressing mix. I don't know, probably some cucumbers, radishes, stuff like that. And that's what we're having for dinner. Completely all vegetarian. So, well, no, I take that back. We do have some dairy in it, but but that's it. And so I'm going to stop chattering right now while we wait for the rest of our meal, and we're going to taste test this, but I will tell you that I'm going to wait to serve our plate until hubby comes in. Now, I'm going to give you a tip at the end of this when it's through baking on how to serve eggplant parmesana the same exact way you would do it with lasagna. I have learned something about these type of dishes that may help all of us to keep from having that oosh on our plate. So, we will be right back. Okay, my family, so it is now out of the oven. As you can see, it's nice and bubbly. Now, here's the key to getting a Parmesan like this. Most generally, we pull it out of the oven, we're in a hurry, we start cutting it, and we start serving it. When that happens, we end up having a mess on our plate. So I am actually going to wait 10 minutes before we cut this and then serve it, and then we'll give this a try. Okay, my family, let's dig into this bad boy, because this is making my mouth drool if you want the truth. So, let's see how this method works. And being able to cut actually works pretty good. I'm able to make slices out of it. Unlike if I would have just cut it as I took it out of the oven, it would have, that's not saying it won't fall apart, but it would have been really, really bad. Now I'm just going to do a little bit of this because I am actually waiting for hubby to come home from work. So we're just going to take a sample and see how this goes. Oh, look at it, cheesy. Y'all see that cheesy goodness? Oh, yay. All right, time to test this bad boy. So let's do that. Okay, so here's what I'm looking for when I prepare a meal. If I'm going to taste it, I'm going to let you know what I'm looking for before I serve it to you. One, it has to have flavor. I'm not going to just give you, y'all, just anything that you know, would put on a plate and say, let's call it good. It better have flavor. Two, for me, nutritious value is a plus. Homemade is great, but like I said, my number one key is flavor. If it don't taste good, it ain't getting served. So let's see how this fares. I have had the American way of eggplant parmesan with all the breading and all that, but not really this way before. And I've never been fond of eggplant. And I know a lot of people are out there with me, is eggplant is one of those strange looking vegetables. But if I can find a way to incorporate it and use it in my diet, I'm going to. And this was one way I found to try that. So let's try it. After I don't burn my mouth off. Okay, I know you saw that smile on my face. This has the right amount of salt. Now, if you've seen, I did not add any salt except for in the sauce. And then the other salt was actually used on the eggplant to drain all the water out. It had plenty of salt. We didn't need no more. Then let's add the Parmesan cheese. And yeah, all that was just plenty enough. We did not have to add any more. The mozzarella cheese that we used in here, even just those tiny bits, was just enough to give that nice cheesy, chewy, creamy, oh yeah, y'all, this is good. This is really good. The simple sauce without overpowering it with Italian seasoning and garlic and onions, and it doesn't need all that. Just what we did very simply worked amazing for this dish. Would I give this dish another try? Would I eat it again? Yes, absolutely. I give this dish, basically, I mean, this is a 10 to me. This is amazing. This is going to be great for supper tonight. So I will put the recipe link in the description box below for you. I will give you the simple sauce. The recipe linked is going to be a much more extensive sauce. I'm going to go ahead and put the simple sauce in there. And I just might write this out, but just know that this recipe comes from Pasta Grammar. They are Italian and they do some amazing authentic Italian food. So you will have this recipe. I hope you enjoy it. Until next time, I love each and every one of you. Tomorrow night, look for, well, no, actually, this will probably be coming out this morning and Friday. So Friday evening, this evening, look for the live. I will be going live with y'all. So we will see you very soon. Much love from Parton's Heritage Homestead.